Do you believe the war between Israel and Iran was destined over 40 years ago? From close allies to bitter adversaries, uncover this surprising history. Welcome, dear viewers, to the Deconstructed Truth. In this first episode of our series, Middle East Flashpoint, Decoding the Israel-Iran Conflict, we'll delve into the complex and volatile relationship between these two regional powers, Israel and Iran. The tensions we see in headlines today are not new. They are the result of over 4 decades of simmering confrontation. In today's volatile world, the conflict between Israel and Iran is often portrayed as a fresh crisis, a sudden emerging threat. But the truth is far more complex. The relationship between Tel Aviv and Tehran has a long history, full of astonishing twists, from discreet cooperation to overt animosity. And those events have shaped the geopolitical landscape we witness. Today, we will unveil 5 key stages shaping the Israel-Iran conflict. You'll learn about their surprisingly friendly early relationship, how a revolution changed everything, the role of a bloody war in shaping Tehran's mindset, and the initial seeds of proxy wars and religious, political tensions. Let's decode the secrets behind one of the most critical conflicts of our time. Stage 1. The surprisingly friendly relationship, pre-1979. To understand the depth of the current confrontation, we must go back in time to a lesser-known period. The surprisingly friendly relationship between Israel and Iran before 1979. After the State of Israel was created in 1948, Iran became the second Muslim-majority nation to recognize the newly formed state. This was a remarkable move, especially since neighboring Arab states remained hostile to Israel. The relationship between Tehran and Tel Aviv under Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi was built on shared interests. Both nations viewed radical nationalist Arab states in the region as threats. And both were unofficial allies of the United States during the Cold War. Israel imported Iranian oil, and there were daily flights connecting Tel Aviv and Tehran. With a substantial Jewish community living in Iran, maintaining cultural and religious ties. The Shah of Iran saw Israel as a valuable partner in balancing regional powers and as a secret source of military technology and expertise. In return, Israel considered Iran a crucial strategic ally, a periphery pact against Arab world hostility. This relationship functioned effectively, providing relative stability in a volatile region. This was a period where pragmatic politics trumped religious and historical differences. Both nations prioritized national security and shared strategic interests. This cooperation occurred on various levels, from overt diplomacy to covert intelligence and military operations. It demonstrates that, historically, Iran was not always an adversary. There was a time when it was a significant partner for Israel. Understanding this stage is crucial. It illustrates that the current relationship is not innate or permanent. It changed dramatically due to historical and political events. The question is, if the relationship could change once, could it change again? Stage 2. The 1979 Iranian Revolution, a historical turning point. The second stage, and a decisive turning point shaping the relationship between modern Iran and Israel, is the 1979 Iranian Revolution. This event completely altered the landscape, being not merely a political revolution but a profound spiritual reshaping, prophetic realignment, at the very heart of Iran. Under Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, Iran was a pro-Western nation, maintaining informal ties with Israel and serving as a strategic ally of the U.S. in the region. However, the Shah was seen as a puppet of the U.S. and UK, and domestic discontent led to a violent overthrow. Ayatollah Khomeini took power, establishing the Islamic Republic of Iran. From the very beginning of his rule, the new religious republic described Israel as an enemy of Islam, calling it the Little Satan, while referring to its powerful ally America as the Great Satan. This was more than just rhetoric, it was a doctrinal declaration. Iran openly embraced the Palestinian cause, handing the hastily abandoned and ransacked Israeli embassy in Tehran over to the Palestinian Liberation Organization under Yasser Arafat. Iran under its new leaders called on the entire Muslim world to unite against Israel. This marked the end of one era and the beginning of a new one of overt animosity, transforming a nation that was once God's instrument into a determined adversary, driven by a deep theological impetus, utterly distinct from any previous political motivations. This revolution was not just a leadership change, it was a shift in the nation's soul, with profound consequences for the relationship with Israel and the entire Middle East. Stage 3. The Iran-Iraq War and its shaping consequences. The third stage, and one of the most profound shaping factors for Iran's strategic thinking, is the Iran-Iraq War, 1980 to 1988. This was a prolonged, bloody conflict that plunged Iran into international isolation, but it also served as a harsh school that fundamentally changed how Tehran viewed national security and regional relations. Surprisingly, despite overt hostility, Israel once provided military equipment to Iran to support its long war against Saddam Hussein's Iraqi forces in the 1980s. Iran was desperate for weapons, specifically more advanced U.S. weapons that Israel could provide. 4. Israel. The calculation was that while Iran's rhetoric was alarming, Iraq and Saddam Hussein posed the more immediate threat. This is an example of a bizarre pragmatic politics in a region rife with antagonism. The Iran-Iraq War eventually ended in a stalemate in 1988, but it had a profound effect on Iran's thinking. Firstly, it highlighted the urgent need for powerful weapons, especially missiles and nuclear power. Iraq's use of ballistic missiles on Iranian cities prompted Tehran to develop its own missile program. Secondly, although Ayatollah Khomeini had initially declared nuclear weapons un-Islamic, his replacement, Ali Khamenei, told the country's nuclear scientists, "We need it now to let our enemies know that we can defend ourselves." This effectively marked the start of the Islamic Republic's nuclear ambitions, with the aim of joining the only other nuclear power in the Middle East, Israel itself. Additionally, the war in Iraq also exposed how isolated Iran was in the region, with Syria its only real ally in the Middle East. This prompted Iran to focus not just on building the state but also on forging alliances with anti-Israeli forces in the region. This lesson is key to understanding the development of Iran's strategies today. Stage 4. From self-defense needs to nuclear ambitions. The fourth stage witnessed Iran's transformation from an attacked nation seeking self-defense to a regional power with clear nuclear ambitions. This was a direct consequence of the costly lessons learned from the Iran-Iraq War. After finding itself vulnerable to Iraqi missile attacks, Iran became determined to develop robust defense capabilities, and this quickly extended to the nuclear realm. Although Israel does not publicly acknowledge possessing nuclear weapons, it is believed to have been developing an arsenal since the 1960s. 4. Iran, joining the nuclear club, was not merely a matter of prestige but of survival. A way to deter future attacks and assert its position in the Middle East. The goal was to let their enemies know that Iran could defend itself. This shift prompted Iran to intensify its nuclear research and development. While Iranian leaders consistently assert their nuclear program is for peaceful civilian purposes, energy and medical, Western intelligence and Israel firmly contend that Iran is seeking to build nuclear weapons under a civilian guise. This has become the source of the greatest tension between Iran and the Western world, and particularly with Israel. U.S. imposed sanctions on the Islamic Republic have been a near-permanent feature since 1979. However, despite economic pressure, Iran has continued to pursue its nuclear goals, demonstrating the level of determination and importance it places on this capability. This has created a dangerous threshold in the region. For Israel, a nuclear-armed Iran is an unacceptable existential threat, pushing them into covert and sometimes overt campaigns to slow the program. For Iran, possessing nuclear capability is the ultimate security guarantee. This stage illustrates the transformation from tactical self-defense needs to strategic ambitions, a key driver of the current Cold War. Stage 5. Regional isolation and the formation of alliances. The fifth stage in shaping the Israel-Iran conflict is a direct consequence of the Iran-Iraq War and the regional isolation Iran faced. After the prolonged conflict, Iran realized it lacked reliable allies. Syria was its only true partner in the Middle East at that time. The end of the war in 1988 allowed Iran to focus not only on rebuilding the state but also on forging alliances with anti-Israeli forces in the region. This was the seed for the proxy war strategy that Iran would skillfully employ in the coming decades. As early as 1982, even while receiving weapons from Israel to fight Iraq, Iran helped form Hezbollah, a militant Islamic group fighting Israel in Lebanon. Later, Iran also backed Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad in Gaza, groups formed in the 1980s. By the early 1990s, they also began supporting the Houthis in Yemen. Throughout Bashar al-Assad's reign, Iran supported his regime in Syria. And after Saddam Hussein's removal from power in 2003, Iran backed dozens of Shiite militias in Iraq. Iran's extensive influence in the region and its ongoing nuclear program are central to Israel's existential fears. This is how Iran turned isolation into leverage, creating a ring of hostility around Israel. While this is clearly a military and political strategy, it also carries a deep religious element. Driven by the Islamic Republic's anti-Israeli ideology, this stage shows a major strategic shift by Iran. Instead of direct confrontation, they built a network of allies and proxies, allowing them to exert pressure on Israel and U.S. interests in the region without direct engagement. This is the foundation for many of the tensions and shadow wars we've discussed in previous episodes, and continues to shape the Middle East landscape today. We have just explored 5 key stages that shaped the Israel-Iran conflict, unveiling the journey from a surprisingly allied relationship to overt animosity. From the friendly ties before 1979, through the transformative 1979 Iranian Revolution, to the Iran-Iraq War that shaped Tehran's thinking, its nuclear ambitions, and the regional isolation that fostered the building of proxy alliances. The original script posed the question: Israel and Iran's relationship used to be very different. After the creation of Israel in 1948, Iran was the second Muslim-majority nation to recognize the newly formed state. This truth has changed radically, and this transformation is key to understanding the war, politics, and religion we witness today. So, after all you've heard, do you see that the Iran-Israel relationship is far more complex than what headlines usually portray? Are you surprised by how historical events, including ancient wars, have profoundly shaped the thinking and strategies of these nations? Leave your thoughts in the comments section below. And if you'd like us to continue decoding geopolitical and prophetic mysteries, give this video a thumbs up and share it. This lets us know that we should continue unveiling hidden truths. If you found this content informative, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the Deconstructed Truth, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our upcoming podcast episodes. Thank you for listening. We look forward to having you join us in episode 2 of our series, Middle East Flashpoint, Decoding the Israel-Iran Conflict, where we will explore Iran and the Shadow Network. When power spreads through proxies.